And now for the fourth and final part of The Rose Window by Monty Cook. I saddled one of the horses. I cannot recall which one anymore. I am not much of a rider, but I thought that I could move faster riding just one than in the wagon. I rode through a good deal of the morning across the valley to the old abbey. The men had worked fast. Only some of the foundation stones were left. Everything was gone, including any clue I had hoped to find regarding the nature of the rose window. The wall where it had sat for over 100 years had been torn down. The floor where it had cast its shadows was torn apart and covered with rubble, dirt, and leaves. I stood in the middle of all this and wept. Tessin had committed a sin against Ogma that could never be forgiven. He had kept a secret, a terrible secret at that. He had been a guardian over that window. Had he been a guardian over that window, or its servant? I certainly could remember no hint of the malevolence that window now displayed. Finally I could weep no more, and I got back on my horse. Perhaps it was just my training in Ogma's priesthood, but I needed information to confront this challenge. When I had been here last, I had learned of one more place I could go to find answers. I sought the answers I sought. I beckoned my steed back onto the road and led it to the village nearby, to where I had heard that Griel lived and had set up his temporary new church. Once I arrived, nearly exhausted now, I slid to the ground, knocked on the door. When there was no response, I knocked again, pounding now. "Master Griel," I shouted. Still nothing. "Master Griel, it's Lord Master Jayan." I continued my pounding, stopping only to confirm that the door was locked. "I must ask you about the rose window I purchased from you." My pounding fist accompanied each word like a drum beat in some southern jungle ritual. "I need to ask you about Lord Master High Tessin." Completely expired, I collapsed against the door. "Tell me," I moaned. "Tell me, what were we worshipping in that abbey?" As I rode back to my parish, I knew that someone had seen me. There had been eyes on me the whole time that I had spent pounding on that door. And as I had sat there, exhausted in the damp soil in front of Griel's home, the autumn leaves blowing around me like dead memories that may very well have been lies, someone watched. No one in that entire town had come when I called out. No one answered their door. But I knew that I was being watched, even now. How many of them were there that had taken part in the foul rites that I could only imagine must have taken place in front of that rose window? Had those rituals gone on even when I had been there? Could I have been so naive? No. I would not think of it any more. It was too hard and too painful. And there were still things that needed doing back in my own church. Which brings me to right now. I am writing this the day after I went to the site of the old abbey. I have not yet slept or eaten. When I came back, I had hoped against hope that Fleason would be here, and that somehow I would have been wrong, but I was not wrong, and he was not here. I dressed myself in the vestments of my order, white shirt and pants and cantlara, a black vest with gold brocade. My cantlara was made for me by my grandmother, who had also been a lore master. I prepared my holy symbol and brought out the staff that I kept by the door for emergencies. The staff with its ends shod in iron and made for fighting. I prepared to make my move and to take my stand against the evil that I myself had brought to my parish. But I waited. What if I was wrong, as I had thought before? What if I let those things through? I somehow told myself that it could not be. An evil thing like the rose window must be destroyed. Only good could come from destroying it. Perhaps it could even free Fleason from whatever held him, if indeed he still lived. I spent the rest of yesterday at the bottom of the ladder, which I had never moved from its spot below the window. I looked up, but all day long I saw only the blue-green stained glass. No movement, no shadows, nothing. Somehow my indecision still prevented me from climbing to even the first rung. So after many hours of arguing with myself, pushed further past exhaustion than I ever had been, I began writing this manuscript on the nightstand in my bedchamber. On these few sheets of parchment, penned throughout the night, I have put my story. Now as I finish, I prepare myself to climb the ladder. I will smash the rose window and destroy every last shard. If I am right, and the evil is over, I will return. Here to this manuscript, and throw these pages into the fire so that no one shall ever learn of these horrible events. But if I am wrong, you are reading this now. If that is the case, perhaps you, whoever you are, will know what can be done to right my wrongs. I am ready. And